All right, thank you very much. I know lunch is next, and I'm standing between you and lunch, and I'll try to go quick. I am pretty type A, though. I got to get this fixed right here. This is kind of driving me nuts. On the way up this morning, I was trying to do two things well. One, I was trying to get here in one piece, because last week I came up to do a different presentation for a different company, and I got in a car accident. So this time it was all about, let's get here safe, all in one piece. That was accomplished pretty well. Second thing I was doing, and I think another speaker mentioned this, is I was trying to get kind of fired up for this presentation, and that seemed like it was going well. And then I got here, and the guy who was miking me up said, and his name is Mike, actually, Mike the mic guy. He says, who are you? I said, well, I'm Rob Meinhardt. Don't you see me on the agenda? And he says, I don't see you anywhere on the agenda. And he looks at the agenda, and then I see there's like 3 names scratched out. And so it turns out I was like the 3rd or 4th draft pick for this spot. And so then I was thinking, like, why is that? How could that possibly be the case? I mean, I've founded a couple companies. One went public. One was acquired by Dell. I stood on this very stage with Michael Dell during our user conference after we were acquired. Run marketing departments. I think I was one of Influitive's first customers. We did a pretty good job with Influitive. And it finally hit me why I was the 3rd or 4th draft pick. And Mark's going to smile and laugh at this. It's because I became a venture capitalist, and venture capitalists don't know anything. I don't know, if you're entrepreneurs who get that, Mark's probably like, yeah, that's pretty true. So where's my little clicker? Did I lose the clicker? There is no clicker up here. Someone stole the clicker. Nick walked off with the clicker, but I bet the AV guy can advance the slide.
Just say next slide and we'll go with it.
Okay. Next slide. So when Mark originally asked me to do this presentation, clicker, I see clicker, thank you. I kind of like the next slide thing. It's like, next slide. Didn't really mean next slide yet. When Mark asked me to do this presentation, I was trying to think, like, how could I do a presentation? Like 24 people giving presentations on customer advocacy, and how am I going to say anything different? I haven't been in marketing for a while, I haven't run a company for a while, but I started thinking more about people that I know have used Influitive, my company that I was a founder of, other companies that I'm an investor in use Influitive, and I started to think about some companies have unbelievable results with Influitive. Some companies have merely great results with Influitive, and other companies have okay results with Influitive. I'm not saying, that's just a natural situation with any product. I'm like, well, why do companies sometimes have truly great, truly amazing experiences with Influitive? And so I came up with this idea of advocacy potential. The notion of potential energy, if you guys took physics, this big rock sitting up on top of this pillar represents a whole lot of potential energy. If that rock falls over, it's going to create a lot of energy, a lot of boom. And so what can we do as marketers to create a lot of boom that we can unlock with Influitive? Another quick analogy, I know I'm trying to go a little bit faster because we're a little bit behind schedule, but baseball, right? Home runs are a pretty good thing to have. But Grand Slam home runs are a much better thing to have. It's the same strike of the bat, it's the same ball going over the wall, but it's a much bigger impact. So how can we as marketers load the bases so that tools like Influitive can unlock that full potential, that advocacy potential? So here's the Serenity Prayer. Anybody go to Catholic school or anything like that, or any kind of thing like that? Serenity Prayer is kind of interesting. Basic notion is that you have to accept the things you cannot change and have the courage to change the things you can. Most of us in this room do not own the product, right? How many people own the product in this room? Not very many. We're marketers, and clearly, I actually agree with what Jim was saying before, that foundationally, product is an amazing place to start for customer advocacy. But the fact is, most people in this room don't actually control the product. We might make suggestions, we might be able to influence a little bit, but it's not in our domain. So what are the things as marketers that we can start doing to load the gun to create that potential energy that we can unlock with Influitive. And so I've got four, actually I'm not going to jump to the four yet. I'm going to start here with ethos. As marketers, if there's anything that we actually do control, it's the ethos. It's the cult of personality of our companies. At Gartner, when they used to come visit us at KACE, our company the name started with a K. I kind of learned this from the Gartner analyst. He said, "You guys have great K-thos." And he put the K in front of it. And that was the first time I heard that word in that context before. And we'd created something special around our customers. We'd created a club. We'd created a little bit of religion. You know, if you think about the Duke basketball fans here, right? They believe Duke is the best basketball team in America. You know, some people believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Some people believe that Slack is the ultimate next generation communications platform. These are all things that relate to ethos and relate to a club and a cult of personality. And these are things that we can create as marketers. I'm going to talk about some ways that you can create ethos. There's hundreds. I can come up with thousands of different things that you could do to create better ethos within your customer population that gets your customers to do fanatical things like paint themselves blue for you. There's a literally unlimited number of them. I'm going to give you four practical, usable, tangible things you can do to try to create more ethos among your customer population. So as marketers, how many of you in the last year have created a t-shirt or a hat or an owl, some kind of giveaway? Raise your hands. How many of you have received something like that? How many of you have received something like that and put it in your drawer and never took it out again? Right? It seems simple, seems trivial, maybe not that important, but we can actually be cool and create ethos just by what we give away and how we create an affinity between what we give away and an attractant for our customers to feel really excited about being part of our club. This is an example of the skateboard that we created at KACE with a totally stylized logo. Michael Dell actually has one of these sitting in his office, and a bunch of my employees and top customers and partners had them as well. Versus the Dorkarama t-shirt. When we first created our first hat for KACE, I asked my designer, I said, "Can you create a hat that is so cool that kids would buy it in Abercrombie & Fitch?" And you're like, how could you create, we're a systems management product. We help people manage endpoint computers. And most of our competitors probably would have just had a dorky hat that said case.com on the front or something like that. We created a super cool hat, and just to sort of finish that story out a little bit, we got to a point where basically, literally, one guy came and interviewed with me one day, and he said, "Oh my God, I see your logo. I didn't know what that was. My son's been wearing your hat to high school." And the pinnacle of this actually occurred just as I was leaving Dell. I got a call from a band leader of a marching band in Texas, and he said, "I've got some students here. They love your shirts, and they want to use your logo as the marching band logo for our school." And I thought that was just awesome. They want to create 400 marching band uniforms with our logo on it. We're a systems management company, but kids in a marching band in some Texas football stadium wanted to use our logo. So my point is, don't be afraid to be a little bit edgy and fun and do something cool. And as far as the gear goes itself, I really like the idea of keeping it cryptic. We never put our name on our gear, and it causes people to ask the question, what the hell is that? And that's what you're really trying to achieve, is giving someone that opportunity to explain what the hell that is. So keep it cryptic, keep it fun, keep it cool. Seems like maybe rookie, but I think it's really good stuff. I told them I'd go fast, I'm not going fast. Number 2. I read this article recently that said that imagination, seeing yourself doing something, is actually more powerful in the human psychology than actually doing it. The attractant associated with believing that you will be something is more attractive than doing it. Think about the Corona beer. If you look at those ads, I don't know if you look at their ads, but you never see a person, you just see the beer sitting on a chair on the beach somewhere. Think about this Apple ad. You know, you see what you think is probably a beautiful woman dancing with a phone, or an iPod in this case, and you could imagine yourself kind of feeling that maybe you want to be that, maybe you could be that. Now your question is, naturally speaking. Rob, I work for a systems management company. You can't dance with our product. You can't drink it. You're not going to get drunk with it. You're not going to do a lot of things. But how can you put someone in a mindset of feeling excited about being associated with it? I'll give you an example. You can seize these opportunities. You'll find these opportunities if you look for them. We had a tweet one time. It was a genuine, unsolicited tweet. One of our customers said on that tweet, "I'm sitting at home, drinking a beer, watching a football game, while 3,000 teacher workstations are being updated. I'm going to get to go home and not work, drink beer, and watch football and get paid for it." That's something that, as a customer, I can visualize myself wanting to do, right? Find those opportunities, promote those opportunities, put them in front of other customers. And believe it or not, when you put an example like that out in front of other customers, they're going to seek similar examples in their own life to tell your prospects. So find those exciting examples around your probably semi-boring products, like ours was. Next example, number 3, is about people. People like to see people that look like and feel like themselves. They want to be part of a club. We went to great pains to photograph our actual customers and put them all over our website. I don't care how many diagrams, graphic images, supermodels, whatever you want to put on your website, you do. Nothing will beat putting your actual customers' faces on your website. One thing that's actually a really interesting way to do this, and it actually relates to case studies, and maybe it's a good way to load up on Influitive, is whenever I used to go and ask people to go create a case study especially early on, when we're a small company, I would get the answer from our marketing team: we can't get any of our customers to get approval to use their story. So one of the things that we did pretty early on is we ran a simple campaign which said, we called it the Stake Your Claim campaign. And we asked our customers to take a picture of themselves in front of their company logo anywhere on their campus and send it to us. In exchange, they got like a $100 gift card or something like that. All of a sudden, I had 75 different pictures of my customers standing in front of their customer logo. I don't actually need to know what, someone else said, these customer case studies suck anyways. They totally do. I now have a loaded gun with 75 pictures of customers standing right next to their EMC logo or their IBM logo or their Tesla logo that didn't need to go through legal. No one had to write some extensive case study, but you have that material, right? And people get fired up about doing it. Mark likes it. Okay, I promised practical, right? Practical stuff. So this is the last of my 4, and I have a couple last quick points if you guys are willing to wait a little bit for lunch. Number 4 is an interesting one that we stumbled upon at KACE, and it relates back to the ethos and religion to a certain extent, and sports fandom and things like that. But in order to have really strong advocate fans, I think it's super helpful, especially if you're a challenger brand, to have an enemy. This doesn't always play well internationally. At KACE, we sold in something like 27 countries, and this didn't play in every single geography of the world. But if you're selling mostly, especially domestically, Americans love the fight. They love the underdog. They love to pick an enemy. Pick an enemy, find the biggest one you possibly can, make fun of them all over the place, and you'll get drawn into the debate with all of the prospects that are out there. Pretty soon, your competitors will be bringing you up in those customer calls because they know that you've already been there. It's an extremely powerful concept. When we ran our first competitive marketing campaign at KACE, that afternoon, there was a line of 4, I kid you not, there was a line outside my office of sales reps. Came into my office, said, "What in the hell did you do? What did you turn on today?" We had run a print and online advertising campaign that basically just competitive comparison, us versus Altiris. That's all we did. And people love being part of this. Pretty soon, when we would do video testimonials of our customers, without us even asking, they would start by explaining how much happy they are now that they were off of Altiris and they're using KACE. They would draw that comparison out directly for us. So it's super powerful. It hits at people's psychology around why they get excited about being affiliated with a company. Once you have ethos, and done some of these things, again, there's probably hundreds of ideas that you can come up with. What else can you do to load the gun in your favor? I think it's working. The moon. So if you take a laser and you point it at the moon, and you're off by 5 degrees with that aiming process, how many people think you'd actually hit the moon with that laser? How many people think any guesses how far you'd miss the moon by? I haven't done this math myself, but one of my associates did this, so it could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's right. Smart kid. He told me that it's a 20,000-mile miss. And that's incredibly important when you think about marketing. We have marketing budgets as marketers, we have marketing employees, but we also have salespeople and sales headcount and travel budgets and expense accounts and all this other kind of stuff that we're driving. Many people in this room, probably most, maybe all, are going to spend $10, $15, $20 million on sales and marketing over the next couple of years, each of you. If you get your message on target, on point, something that would have cost you $12 million might only cost you 10 to do in terms of sales people, in terms of marketing budget, in terms of headcount, in terms of your time. It's incredibly important to get your message and your target really right, and to do that in a really scientific way. I could probably spend a lot of time talking about this. If you're really interested in this, I use this company called Zoom Marketing with probably 5 of my portfolio companies. I've used them 3 times myself. They are experts at this. If you get this right, the gun will be loaded and pointed in the right direction. It's an incredibly powerful concept. Second point, and I'm almost done, being systematic is incredibly important. You can't just create one cool hat and walk away. Right? You can't just create one great visual of your customers imagining themselves being in a better situation. You have to do this stuff every day. You have to be relentless. You have to do it on point every day, all the time, and systematically. It's not a one-shot deal. So as marketers, once you figure out your playbook, once you write down, and I encourage you to write down what your ethos is, what you want to create, what you want to be about as a marketing organization, once you determine that, live by that playbook all the time. This was the best image I could come up with for kinetic energy when the rock falls off. Imagine the house is your competitor. But maybe a little less destructive would be the roller coaster example. You got to push that roller coaster up that first hill to drop it off the other side. When you go off the other side, when you pull the trigger with influitive, it's going to be a wild and fun ride, but you got to load the gun first. So that's it. Thank you.